Part 4 from the Diary of Annie Frank. So we see that Annie Frank, she is telling her about her school days, okay? And she's sharing all these in her favorite kitty. I'm not so worried about my girlfriends and myself. We will make it. The only subject I'm not sure about is maths. Anyway, all we can do is wait. So she says that she was not worried about her girlfriends. She knew that girls will make it, and the only subject she was not sure was maths. Until then, we keep telling each other not to lose heart. I get along pretty well with all my teachers. There are 9 of them, 7 men and 2 women. Mr. Keesing, the old fogey. Fogey means old fashioned person. Old fogey who teaches maths was annoyed with me for ages because I talked so much. So she says that she was very well with all the teachers except Mr. Keesing, who was maths teacher, because he was not happy with her because she talked too much. After several warnings, he assigned me extra homework, an essay on the subject, a chatterbox. A chatterbox. You know what is a chatterbox? Chatterbox means a person who talks a lot. What can you write about that? I had a worry about that later. I decided. I jotted down the title in my notebook, tucked it in my bag, and tried to keep quiet. So, after several warnings to her by the teacher, he gave her extra homework to write an essay on chatterbox. So, she decided to write it afterwards. That evening, after I had finished the rest of my homework, the note about the essay caught my eye. Caught my eye means gripped her attention. I began thinking about the subject while chewing the tip of my fountain pen. Anyone could ramble on and leave big spaces between the words, but the trick was to come up with convincing arguments to prove the necessity of talking. Now she says that anyone could ramble on. Ramble means talk or write aimlessly. She said anyone can talk or write aimlessly, anything, bogus writing, and leave the spaces between words to just fill up the pages. But she said that the trick was to come up with convincing thoughts. She wanted to go for convincing thoughts. That means a statement made in such a manner that people believe it. She wanted to write something convincing के जो है लगे कि उसने कुछ लिखा है. I thought and suddenly I had an idea. I wrote 3 pages Mr. Keesing has assigned me and was satisfied. So she thought and she wrote 3 pages on a chatterbox. I argued that talking is a student's trait and that I would do my best to keep it under control. So she argued, she discussed in that it is a student's quality and she will try to keep it under control. But that I would never be able to cure myself of the habit since my mother talked as much as I did, if not more, and that there is not much you can do about inherited traits. And then she wrote, also she thought she will never be able to cure herself. She will never stop talking because this is her habit which is formed, and this habit she has inherited from her parents, especially from her mother. She said that not much can be done about inherited traits. Inherited trait means qualities, physical or mental, that one gets from one's parents. So she said that she will not be, never be like a cure of this problem. Mr. Keesing had a good laugh at my arguments, but when I proceeded to talk my way through the next lesson, he assigned me a second essay. But that day, Mr. Keesing was happy. He lied her arguments, but when she did not like keep quiet through the next lesson when he was teaching, I proceeded. Proceeded means she followed to talk. She kept on talking when sir was teaching the next lesson. He assigned as a punishment to her a second lesson. This time it was supposed to be on in an incorrigible chatterbox. Now see what do you mean by incorrigible? It means something that cannot be corrected. And it is taken generally as a bad quality. So here now she has to write on an incorrigible chatterbox. एक ऐसा chatterbox जो कभी सुधरेगा नहीं. I handed it in and Mr. Keesing had nothing to complain about for 2 whole lessons. So same way, Annie Frank wrote about that essay also and she handed over, and now Mr. Keesing, he did not say anything to her for the whole 2 lessons. However, during the 3rd lesson, he had finally had enough. Annie Frank, as punishment for talking in class, write an essay entitled Quack, 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 said Mistress Chatterbox. Now, after that, naturally, he his patience gave way, and during the third lesson finally that he thought it is enough, because she was not she did not stop talking. And as a punishment, now he gave her a third essay, and this time its title was "Quack Quack Quack," said Mistress Chatterbox. And this was a punishment, of course. The class roared. Roared means I laughed, and I had to laugh too, though I had nearly exhausted my ingenuity on the topic of chatterboxes. Now the whole class laughed on when this punishment was given, and she also laughed. And now she thought okay, she had already exhausted. Exhausted means finished my ingenuity. Ingenuity means originality or inventiveness on the topic. She had lost all, जितना भी उसके अंदर कुछ था, means the point she had, the idea she has already written in the two further essays. Now she had exhausted, she had finished all that, what she had to write on this. No matter was left in her mind. It was time to come up with something else, something original. Now she thought कि अब कुछ नया सा लिखा जाए, कुछ original. My friend Sani, who is good at poetry, offered to help me write the essay from beginning to end in verse, and I jumped for joy. And now a escape for her came, and help came for her from her friend Sani, who was good at Sani, who was good at poetry, and she told her she will write her essay in verse. In verse means in poetic form, and she was happy. Mr. Keesing was trying to play a joke on me with this ridiculous subject. Ridiculous means with this funny subject, but I had made sure the joke was on him. And she turned the tables now. And though Mr. Keesing thought now she will be caught up, and how will she manage to write a thing on it? It was a joke, but she managed to put that joke on him only, means she turned the table. She had put it on him only. I finished my poem, and it was beautiful. It was about a mother duck and a father swan with three baby ducklings who were beaten to death by the father because they quacked too much. Now it was a poem about a duck and a swan and their three ducklings. And these ducklings, the children, they were beaten to death by their father because they quacked too much, they talked too much. Luckily, Mr. Keesing took the joke right way. But she was lucky because Mr. Keesing took the joke in proper way, in the right way, decent way. He read the he read the poem in her class, and adding his own comments there. And not only that, he read it at another classes also. Since then, I have been allowed to talk and haven't been assigned any extra homework. And on the contrary, Mr. Keesing's always making jokes these days. And she found that after that, Mr. Keesing did not trouble her with any more homework. And on the contrary, on the opposite, he made jokes, means he also became little humorous in the class. So this was all about Annie Frank. Yours, Annie. It has been taken, extracted from the diary of a young girl with slight adaptation. So this has been taken from her diary, Kitty, and with slight changes. Adaptation means slight changes. So this was all about Annie Frank and her life. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.